YMCA, most likely we would have to pay the cost of the YMCA, and I would want to make sure that we bring something that's a lot more comprehensive for council to understand the financial implications.
Thank you.
Just to follow up, Mr. Chair, I guess I didn't necessarily mean, I guess access does matter because we have different facilities in different parts of the city, and so does the YMCA, and so there may be an approach that where KIP or we're able to help support people who are primarily using transit or walking to get to these facilities and move forward. And sort of following up on that, I think that one of the challenges with especially the McLaughlin Woodworking Museum is transportation in this package. It's difficult. You can't imagine transit getting out there, and so how do we provide support if we're offering something for free that we don't really expect them to be able to get to easily? How do we, how's that a benefit to people who are coming to our community?
Commissioner Hurley.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So, I mean, there is no public transportation out there, whether it's for residents or newcomers. So we wouldn't propose to do something special just for newcomers and not have it available for residents. I am not sure how to, I mean, we assume that some of the newcomers do know people in the city or eventually get to know people in the city and might have access to some transportation outside the urban area that way, but that's something that we can look into if it is not useful or helpful to have those passes because it's not really accessible, then maybe it's not something that's really worthwhile continuing to explore, and maybe we need to focus on other types of programs. So I guess that's the only answer I can offer for tonight.
Okay, that's great for now.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? Questions? Thank you. Would you like to speak to that, Commissioner Hurdle?
Sure.
Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So any newcomers, whether or not people are coming here and moving from another community within, it can be a community within Ontario actually, or if it's a refugee coming in, have access to the same program here that's detailed in the report. And we have somebody here from KIP tonight, but KIP does work closely with refugees and newcomers in terms of trying to get them better oriented and integrated within the community. So that's the support service where we do partner with KIP, and that's provided through KIP.
Thank you. So we do have a recommendation before us, so that the Administrative Policies Committee recommend that Council delegate authority to the Commissioner. I believe I already read through it, so do we have a mover for that? Councillor Holland, seconder, Councillor Osanik. Any further discussion? Councillor Allen?
Just something that's not in here because it's not part of the package, but I wanted to just check in. We had a bit of a newcomer welcome event this year. Are we going to continue doing that kind of event? I think the mayor hosted it here a couple months ago. I just thought that we were talking about the gift and everything, but we don't necessarily interact.
Hi, I'm Sunita from Kingston Immigration Partnership Facilitator. So thank you for the opportunity to, so we can explain a little bit about the newcomers' welcome gift. The reception that was held here, I believe about a month ago, is that the one you're referring to? I think that was a bit of a collaborative effort with, between the city and the Rotary Club and all the various sponsor groups. So depending on what our dynamic looks like in a year from now, I mean, or if there is something that it was well received, then perhaps we can continue. But I think the driving force behind that was more the Rotary Club and the city, that sort of a collaboration.
Oh, great. Thanks for clarifying that. And just a couple of quick comments. I mean, I think as Mr. Dixon mentioned, this is a great program, and you know, I think giving staff the ability to tweak it over time and grow it over time is perfectly fine. And I just wanted to draw attention to anybody on the committee who, if they didn't see the New York Times article over the weekend on Canada's welcoming nature to newcomers, it's really worth a read. It discusses a few refugee settlement families in Toronto, and so it's great to see a paper from the States celebrating our openness here. So anything we can do as a committee and as a council to support more immigration and to be a more welcoming community and to be adaptable on the fly with that, I think we should be doing.
Thanks. And Councillor Cannon, you had a comment or a question?
Yeah, just a quick question. The definition of a newcomer, do we have any statistics on their personal situation as far as income, how much they come to Kingston with, as far as maybe assets go? Because just in my day job, a lot of the newcomers I deal with, a lot of them are like exceptionally affluent people, or some of them are affluent people. So are we giving... do we have any data on what types of people on average are coming to Kingston, or is it all over the board?
I'm afraid not. Oftentimes the ones we are seeing are the ones that are in need. But I think to comment to those who are perhaps affluent or well-to-do, maybe over time, but this is given out for that first year of arrival when you're trying to get settled in and you need language support and a lot of trips back and forth to the settlement offices and settlement agencies and language support, things like that. But I agree that not everybody needs language support, but they might need other kinds of support. So, yeah. But no, we have not. That's a good point, though.
Yeah, fair enough. The only comment I would make is that if like some of the packages should welcome all people, even, you know, if a doctor comes into town or something, it makes them feel invited because they're very valuable people too. But obviously this helps the most in need, and it's a great gesture, so I'm happy to support it.
All right, so seeing no other comments, we've already had this moved and seconded, so we'll call the vote on this. All those in favor? And that passes. So we'll now move on to the Rideau Crest Home Board of Management. So we have to resolve ourselves into the Board of Management for business for the Rideau Crest Home. So Councillor Allen and Councillor Cannon seconds that. So all those in favor? All right. So would staff like to speak to this?
Good evening, Mr. Chair. This report covers the time period from April 21st to the end of June 2016. We continue to have a high occupancy rate, which is at 99.23%, and our wait list remains high at 372 people waiting to be admitted to our home. There were no ministry visits during this time period, but we did have public health in during the hepatitis scare. While they were on site, they did an inspection of the kitchen, of which there were no findings. There were 8 incidents reportable to the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care during this period. 2 of these required reporting to the police. These include resident-to-resident abuse. There were no findings, and interventions had been put in place. The second was a missing fentanyl patch. The police have not attended the home regarding these, but Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care is currently in the home investigating as we speak. They haven't done a next interview as of yet, but seem to be satisfied with all interventions put in place. As of the end of April, the home was $65,000 over budget. Forecast for the end of May will be $10,000 over budget, which will improve even more so as our funding increased, or CMI increased to 98.95%, where we assumed our CMI or funding was at 95.28%. And also attached is the new accommodation rates that were effective July 1st, 2016, and these were distributed to the residents and families and posted in the home.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? Councilor Osanek?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, if Rideau Crest stays over budget on December 31st, where will that extra money come from?
Well, as you see, we've only had 1 month into the new funding rate, and has made a considerable difference. So I anticipate we should be under budget by the end of December. We have not increased our staffing or deployment with this new CMI or funding, so we anticipate we'll be under.
Sorry, I thought I heard you say you'll be over slightly at the end, so.
Oh, no.
Okay, good, thank you.
And Commissioner Hurdle, you wanted to
So
comment as well?
yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to add that, you know, what we're providing to you is information up to date, and that increase in funding from the province hasn't yet translated into actual revenues that we're receiving. So that will be reflected. The payments are going to start, I'm assuming, sometime soon, but they're dated back from April. So that will be starting to be reflected in future reports. The other thing too, and this is no different with any other departmental budgets, what we look at the end of the day is to make sure that from a group perspective, so looking at community services, there may be departments that have surpluses. We typically see housing, social services, for example, that have surpluses, and at the end of the day, what we need to make sure is that we are able to balance our budgets. That's the key, and try to achieve as much saving as possible, but it will happen that from time to time there will be some departments that will end the year with, you know, a bit of a deficit, but others will also have surpluses. So that's how we also try to look at it.
So it's from a departmental budget then? Okay. And Councilor Holland?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you. I'm just going to kind of, I'm just looking for a little bit of clarification on the last point regarding the nursing graduate guarantee program. So I'm going to kind of give my interpretation, which I think is correct, but just in case. So this was a payment that was due based on a program initiated by the provincial ministry, and there was some outstanding documentation, so there was a delay in the payment. Is that what I'm reading here?
They had made the decision not to pay us or reimburse us or give that money to us because the proper documentation wasn't done prior to, I think it was in 14. So we appealed, Laura appealed for the home, and they did agree to give us that $31,000.
Thanks. And so how was that, like a seriously time-consuming endeavor, having to go through all that?
I think it was just overlooked in the previous administration.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Thanks.
Okay. So this was for information only, so seeing no other comments, we have to rise from the Board of Management for Rideau Crest Home. So can we have a motion for that? Councilor Allen, seconded by Councilor Cannon. All those in favor? That passes. So motions, none. Notice of motion, no other business, correspondence. So date and time of the next meeting is September 8th, 2016. So hopefully everybody can come. And motion to adjourn. No movers, eh? Motion to adjourn. Councilor Osanek, seconded by Councilor Hall. All those in favor? And that passes. Thanks very much, everybody.